Good evening, everyone. Once again, I am still your teacher. If you've been following my videos, you should be familiar with my name by now. And if you have not, I can still reintroduce my name. My name is Ayomide Oladu. I am a content writer and social media manager, and I am a teacher of poetry. I teach poetry and writing. So this evening we'll be talking about four interesting poetry forms and how to write them. How do I write? There are different types of poetry forms and how do you write them? First, you need to understand what those poetry forms are before you can write them very well. Now, the first one is the strike through poetry. This poetry is a form of poetry in which you write a poem and cross out some lines. You cross over some lines. However, the idea that the lines that are crossed through can still be read, but because the lines have been crossed so that it can give the poem an entirely different story, an entirely different meaning. That is to say, you're striking out those lines to give the poem two different meaning. Without the line striked out, the poem has a meaning entirely. Now you're striking out that line now to give that poem another specific meaning entirely. So generally, the cross outlines in the structure poetry reflect how the authors truly feel and doesn't want to say it directly, doesn't want to pass across it directly. Now let's go to the second one, which is concrete poetry. The idea behind concrete poetry is that your words form a picture that adds extra meaning to the poem. Now, a concrete poetry is talking about, just like I'm going to talk about description of an image, a familiar image. For example, now we're talking about a house or a place or an event, something that the readers can quickly imagine and relate with from the word concrete, something that is solid, something that is familiar, something that has a direct and understanding meaning. Now to the third one, we have found poetry. Now found poetry deals with picking out articles from the web, picking out some parts of some works of some writers in a magazine and then try to use them to form another different uh, meaning. Fun poetry is when you take words that are not your own, such as articles on the web, paragraphs from books, and add different breaks in between the lines to try to give it a new meaning. Now let's go to the last one, which is called sestina. Sestina is a poetry form that writers totally love or totally hate it. Now, sestina is a poem in which a writer writes down six different words, and each of those six different words ends the last line of each stanza in each line in a poem. For example, now somebody writing down six different words: loss, new, about, and all of that. And then each line in the poem ends with, that is, line one ends with the first word that the writer has already written down somewhere. And then the line two ends with the second word. Line three ends with the third word and then to the sixth word. So that's what sextina is actually uh, based upon. A sestina is a form poem in which you pick six words to base a poem around. The six words will be at the end of your lines. The six words will be at the end of each of the line. So I have mentioned four specific ways, four interesting poetry forms. We have the structured poetry, we have concrete poetry, we have font poetry, and then a sestina. I explained that strike through poetry is when a writer strikes out a line out of a poem to give it an entirely different meaning. A concrete poetry is writing a poem based on something that is familiar, something that you can easily relate with, or something that exists. Now, fun poetry is picking words, random words from places to form a poem, and then adding some things to it to actually give it a more elaborate meaning. Now we have 16. I'm writing down six different words, and each of the lines in the poem ends with each of the words. So, I am very happy to be your teacher this evening, and I'll be very, very glad if you can drop your questions below for me so that I can respond to it. Now, please do not forget to follow our handles on Facebook. You can follow I to write. Just you don't have to put any specific I to write. And then on Twitter, I to write. On Instagram as well, I to write. And then you can forward a message to our email I to write .com, or you're going to have it in below the video so that you can access each of this page for more information and more knowledge about poetry and writing. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be your teacher on the next coming video. I remain myself, which is I really Thank you.